First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my Sibs I sold our childhood home when I didn't, just to get them out? Okay, so I'm the youngest of 5, and this mess only revolves around me, female 29, my just older sister, female 31, and our older brother, male 36. 2 older sisters aren't part of this, thankfully. Okay, so I currently live with my girlfriend at what was my grandma's home. But I bought said home from mom a bit back for cheap. The house wasn't pristine, and I've sunk a few thousands into it already, and it's looking better. Well, my mom lived in our childhood home with 31-year-old sis and bro for the last... forever. 2 oldest sisters live in different states. Sister and bro never moved out for longer than a year each before moving back. Both are absolute slobs who refuse to clean up after themselves. And they made our mom clean up after them. She couldn't stand the mess and would clean just so she wouldn't have to live in filth. Eventually, she, in her 60s, couldn't stand to live there anymore, so I asked her to come live with me. They essentially drove our mother out of her own home because they were slobs. Well, she lived with me happily. My house is clean, and she didn't have to work and just enjoyed her time in the garden, but she passed away not too long ago. I've barely been coping because out of all of my siblings, I was closest with our mom. Our personalities just meshed well, whereas my siblings didn't. She loved them. She wouldn't have cared for them for so long if she didn't, but they stressed her out unbelievably. Well, I found out our mom left her house to me only. She left each of my Sibs some money, but the house and everything of hers in it is now mine. My Sibs who live in that house didn't like it and pitched a fit. Said I manipulated mom at her weakest into getting the house when they should have gotten it. I told them to go to hell, and the only reason it probably got left to me is because mom knew I'd at least remember to pay the proper tax each year so the house wouldn't get taken. Neither of them pays any bills, save for their phone bills, so she probably doubted they'd keep the house for long if she gave it to them. Well, they expected me to follow in mom's footsteps and pay all the bills there for them. I laughed and told them that going forward, they'd be paying rent and all utilities if they wanted to stay there, and they'd need to keep the place clean or they were out. They flipped their crap and screamed that it was their childhood home and I couldn't do this. I said the deed is in my name, so I very much can. I sent them a letter that basically said they can either pay rent or they'd be out. They refused, so I sent them another letter saying they had 30 days to vacate the premises because I'd sold the house. They went ape, but they didn't have a leg to stand on, so they bailed. I've since cleaned up the place. It looked like a D-den and cost a lot to deep clean and fix stuff. And I'm renting it out to a nice Asian couple who have lots of exotic fish. Told some friends I lied about selling the house, and they said it was an a-hole move. Am I the a-hole? Edit. To the people commenting why lie, lying was pointless, or you were fine until you lied, need to understand that I know my siblings well. And I know for a fact that a regular eviction wouldn't have worked, since they'd know the house was still mine, so they'd have not left and just squatted indefinitely. But once they thought the house wasn't mine, they bailed, because they probably were worried the new homeowner would shoot them for trespassing. So lying was necessary in my opinion. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, big time. I'm glad your gamble worked out for you. Getting people out of a house can be a huge hassle. Not the a-hole. Your mom probably left you the property because she knew you would take care of it, not just pay the bills, especially after seeing you fix up your grandma's house. Also, I misread the line about the new renters. I really couldn't figure out why you knew that your renters had lots of exotic fetishes. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you gave them the legally required notice to vacate, and with good reason. For all they know, the sale fell through at the last minute. Hey, it happens. Or the Asian family bought the house. I don't know why the exotic fish part amused me so much, but it did. Same, it's just oddly specific and delightful. I hope both the tenants and their landlady have a wonderful life. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive and making life more difficult at home? I, 16 female, lost my dad when I was a baby. I only ever had one photo of him and me together, just the 2 of us. My mom put it in this cardboard photo frame my dad made when I was a kid. Technically, she just stuck it on with tape. My mom remarried when I was 11, and her husband has a daughter, Bea, who is 11. Back in July, my mom and her husband went back to work after working from home with COVID, and they asked me to stay home with Bea for 2 days because the babysitter canceled very last minute. Day 1 was pretty rough, and I decided I wasn't going to take Bea to the park if she was going to be demanding and cause trouble. Day 2 came and she wanted the park, started demanding I take her, and I said no. I also wouldn't let her eat chocolate for lunch, so she went upstairs, into my room, and tore up the photo and frame of me and my dad. I yelled at her and sent her to her room, and when her dad got home, I told her he was never ever to leave me with her again. Her dad made her apologize, but I didn't accept it, and I still haven't, and I will not spend any time with her now. My mom has told me to forgive her because she's 11. I have made my feelings clear. My mom got another copy of the photo from my grandparents, but it won't ever replace the frame or the fact she did it out of spite. Apparently, this has made things difficult now because they always have to take her. If no other adults in the house, they don't trust her to be left unattended while going shopping, and they know I won't take care of her anymore or do anything for her. It also means if any issues with the babysitter come up, they have to leave work early / get to work late, etc. My mom has begged me to forgive. I just can't. I can't even look at her anymore. I won't say how I feel about her now, but yeah. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving her? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. 11 is old enough to understand why what she did was so awful. That's why she did it. And if Bea destroys it while being with you for 2 days, you looking after her while they are at work is obviously not going to work out and is a bad idea. They aren't helping you discipline Bea at all. Oh girl, please make as many digital copies of that photo as you can. Things get ruined, but memories stay forever. Try to focus on yourself, and one day you may be able to forgive her for being young, dumb, and cruel. It's more her dad being a crap parent than anything. A 16-year-old shouldn't be responsible for another child if that child is difficult and intentionally awful. Not the a-hole. It's very telling that she's 11 years old and can't be trusted to stay at home alone while your parents go to the grocery store. 11 is old enough to not need a babysitter. It sounds like your stepsister has some mental health issues, and it is not your responsibility to help her with them. What she did is far beyond just being a brat. It was sadistic, and it was after what? A day and a half of you watching her? What will she do to you the next time you don't let her get her way? Just because she's younger doesn't mean she isn't a danger to you. Not the a-hole. 11 is old enough to know not to tear up a picture of someone's dead father. Your mom and stepdad are spoiling Bea by making excuses for her and not holding her accountable for her actions. This is 100% your parents' fault. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my son that he is not welcome in my home if he gets a dog? The title doesn't paint me in the best light, but please hear me out. My ex-husband and I split about 3 years ago. We have both since found new partners and are quite happily co-parenting our 2 children. Milo, who is 17, and Jason, who is 14. Milo is essentially blind. He is completely blind in one eye and does not have a great deal of vision in the other. We have done what we can to support him and cater to his needs. He is a very confident and outgoing boy despite all of this, and it brings me a great deal of comfort knowing that he is happy. Everything was going absolutely perfect until a few weeks ago. My ex's partner, who we'll be referring to as Mary, has a habit of getting involved in situations that do not concern her. She frequently tries to take over as mother when my boys are staying at their dad's house. She makes a point of butting into calls to talk to my boys, and when Milo was 15, she went out of her way to buy him the Harry Potter books in Braille. She knew that this was our thing. We'd curl up on the sofa and I'd read the books to him. Well, a while ago, she decided to stick her nose in and suggested that Milo get a guide dog. He doesn't really go out on his own. He is always accompanied by a friend or family member. He was very sold on the idea and has started looking into applying for one as his general physician apparently agrees with Mary. I am not a fan of this idea. Milo is perfectly capable of navigating his way around the house, and he always has someone with him when he's outdoors. I just don't see why he need a guide dog. I also admit that I am a bit of a clean freak and like everything to be sitting tidy. That's just not possible with a dog. I am not having my home being covered in dog hair and having the furniture chewed up and jumped on. The boys begged for a cat for ages, and the cat hair is bad enough. I am also not a big fan of dogs. I was bitten as a child, and ever since, I have always been a bit wary of them. We had a disagreement about it yesterday, and I snapped, telling Milo that he can get a dog if he wants, but he is not living under my roof with it. By all means, if he'd moved out and got a dog, then I wouldn't see any issues with it, but he is adamant that this is what he wants, knowing full well I don't want the house to turn into an absolute pigsty. He has been informed that under no circumstances does he bring that animal into my home. He can visit as much as he likes without it, and I will of course visit him, but the dog can't live in my house. His dad and Mary, of course, have taken his side. Jason has tried to talk to his brother, but Milo seems dead set on this idea and not thinks I am an a-hole for not allowing a dog in the house. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Edited to add, I am not infantilizing my son. What does it matter if I refer to him as my baby? I do the same with Jason. They are my children, and they always will be, no matter how old they are. Parents of Reddit will understand this. I am sick to death of all the comments accusing me of this. I know Milo is almost 18. I did give birth to him. I want Milo to be independent, but that's a lot of unnecessary stress to put on him right now. And no, I am not bitter about Mary. No, she's not abusive. I never said she was. I just don't like her waltzing into our lives and trying to take over the role of mother. If Milo wants something, for example an item of clothing, and I cannot get it straight away, Mary will go out of her way to get it first. When my husband told her that Milo likes singing, she decided to have a karaoke night with him. Anything she can do to make herself look good, she will. The guide dog suggestion was no exception. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. She's being a mother to your kids, which says to me she's looking after them and caring for them as well as being a positive role model. She got a present for your son of something that he would truly enjoy, but got pissed because you were the one who read the books to him. And now you don't want him to get a dog that allows him independence. Strong you're the a-hole because this is screaming at me that you don't want him to have his independence and want to control him. You gave him an ultimatum. I hope you're prepared for the potential negative effects. Lol. She bought him books that she knows he likes so he can read them at his own leisure and not have his mom read them to him when he's 17 years old. And now she's putting ideas in his head about him maybe being able to go outside without supervision. What an evil interloping little tart. I am flabbergasted at this posting. I am a 74-year-old woman with graduate training who worked in human services during my career years. What parent does not want their child to have the maximum opportunities to live a full, rewarding life? So, it sounds like a pristine house is more important to you than your son having the freedom and sense of accomplishment to live his own life with as much independence as possible. For all the rest of Milo's life, he cannot depend on other people being available to him when he needs to go out, go to classes, have employment, go on dates, travel. The fullest range of life experiences begins with him having a trained guide dog. You seem to resent your ex's new partner, with whom you seem to feel some competition. Let me rework that. Maybe she is a decent, caring human being who just wants what is best for Milo, and she is giving off her time, energy, and resources to be supportive of him. Once you get her and the Harry Potter books out of your head, maybe you will see common sense about Milo and his needs for a better future. Last edit. I understand Reddit. I will admit I wasn't in the best state of mind earlier, and was not ready to read all of the comments, so I did come off as a bit defensive. If it means that much to Milo and his independence, he can get the dog. Something about hundreds of people telling you that you are a colossal a-hole will do that to you. I took the suggestion and did some research regarding guide dogs, and I do not feel as strongly about having one in the house now that I know how well behaved they are. I did not set out to hurt my son, but it happened. I know I am never going to like Mary, but as much as it pains me to say it, she may have had a point in this matter. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for saying that I make the rules in the house I inherited from my mother? Some background info. I, 20 male, started to live with my bio father and his wife a week ago. My mother died when I was 18, and since this house has been passed down on my mother's family for generations, I legally inherited it. My mom and bio father divorced when I was 15. I was never really close to him, to be clear. If I were to rate our relationship, it will be 3 out of 10. I don't know the reason, but we're just pretty civil to each other. Last year, he married this woman somewhere abroad, and although I was invited, I didn't go because that woman and me are practically strangers. We never talked before, and I only know her appearance from a picture. Because of the pandemic, my bio father asked if they can live here for a while since his pay was recently cut down, so it's hard to keep living in their apartment. Since we have a decent relationship with each other, and him saying that they'll agree to any condition I set, I won't dive further into conditions, just normal roommate stuff, like not meddling with each other's business. I let them in last week. The first few days were actually pretty normal. Just some snide comments from his wife when he's not around about my lifestyle, my house, my decorations, my garden, and whatever she thinks is not good enough. I just always answer her with, "It's my life. I am an adult in my own home. I would appreciate it if you don't voice out your unsolicited opinions." Then yesterday, for whatever reason it is, she just barged into my room, demanded for me to be healthy and bond with them more, then proceeded to take my laptop, which I paid for, and my own separate modem, which I also paid for. Of course, I was irritated, and irritated said, "What the F are you doing?" She replied with, "I'm making you live a healthier life. From now on, I will regulate your use of internet and laptop. I will be in charge under this roof." After hearing that, I can't help but laugh. I just laughed real hard at her face. Like, which? This is my house and I provide for myself. I just answered her with, "You high in grass or something? Seems you forgot this is not your house. This is my house. You don't get to make the rules here. I do. Disturb me once more and I'll make sure you live in the streets." My father is livid last night and he demanded me to apologize to her. Of course I didn't. Lol. I just reiterated what I said to her. That this is my house and if they problems or whatsoever, they're free to live in the streets. Now, some of my cousins are telling me that I shouldn't have used my house that I inherited from my mom to shut them up, especially now due to the pandemic. I don't really care about the two of them, but I value my cousin's opinion. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They're free to move out if they don't like it. As long as they live under your house, they will abide your rules. If not, they are both adults and are more than welcome to find other accommodations. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. They've broken the agreement and you have every right to ask them to leave. Your cousins can take them in if they want to. OP can ask them, but will likely have to go through formal eviction proceedings to get them out. If he doesn't, he will be liable for substantial damages. Take note, OP. If you do want them out, you can't just toss their stuff and change the locks. Once they've established residence, you'll have to serve them with an eviction notice and give them the legally required warning, which might be as much as 30 to 60 days. Even then, you'll likely need to sue and get a court order. If they've only been with you for a week, you might be in the clear depending on local laws. In some places, a week or two is all it takes for a tenant, free or paying, to establish residency. Not the a-hole. Doesn't sound like you use the my house thing often. This is exactly when you should, when she somehow feels like she should be in control. In what world would she be making the rules? She sounds like painfully entitled. Maybe this is a pride thing for her. You definitely needed to remind her where she lives. This kind of behavior is unacceptable. If your cousins have a problem with it, they can take them in. Plus, you know, if it was her house, she would be more than happy to let you know her house, her rules. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe.